There's a ton of advice on the internet about chord structure or song structure or how to mix your song or which snare sounds the best. This isn't a video about those things. This is about how to make compelling songs that people want to listen to. And it doesn't really matter if you want to make lo-fi hip-hop or reggae or even children's songs. The tips I'm going to talk about go across all genres of music. I've been a professional composer and music producer for 18 years now, and I've written theme songs for TV shows, film scores, composed ads, and lots of other stuff. I found that a certain mindset and approach helps create more compelling songs. So here are 9 tips to help you write better songs. Tip number 1, start from the end. By end, I don't mean the end of your song timeline in your DAW. I mean the end result that you want to achieve. To help guide your thoughts, here are 3 questions to ask. 1. Who is this song for? 2. Why are you making this song? 3. What is this song supposed to do? Who am I writing this song for? This could be just one person, like say your spouse. I'm writing this song for my spouse to listen to make her happy. Or it could be, I'm writing this song for people who like lo-fi hip-hop and want to study with this song. Or maybe it's for people who want their daily pick-me-up. You have to be clear on who you're writing this song for. And no, the answer can't be everyone. Why are you creating this song? Is it an experiment for yourself to learn something? Or is it for creating more joy in the world? Or is it for depressed people wanting to feel a bit better? Knowing your why helps you understand what constitutes a great song in the context of what you want to create. What do you want your song to do? It's also tied to the second question, why? Because if you want your song to make people feel better, then you know why you created that song. Because you want those people who feel bad to feel better. Or maybe your song is supposed to make people dance. And that's what you want the song to do. Why? Because you want people to have fun when listening to your song. So what you want it to do is the function of the song. It's why the song exists. Tip number 2, focus on the effects. Now I'm not talking about reverb or chorus or distortion, those kind of effects. I'm talking about what effect does your song have on your listener. If someone listens to a song, what happens to that person? Do they start tapping their toes? Do they feel better for the day? Do they have a little laugh or two? It's very much tied to the previous thing about what you want your song to do. What's the effect of that? What does it do that creates the effect that you want? So for every musical choice you make in your song, whether it's the snare sound, or whether it's the way you mix it, or you arrange it, you gotta ask yourself, does this bring about that desired effect? Am I creating for that effect? Tip number 3, use what you have. I've always been an advocate of using anything that you have and not worrying about what you don't have. These days, what we have on our phones, our tablets, and our computers are much more than what multi-million-dollar studios used to have decades ago. So we've already got all the tools that we need. It's a matter of honing our skills and being able to understand what crafts emotion in people. And when you can understand that, you can understand how to use your skill and your craft to be able to create those emotions for people. Do not be discouraged by what you don't have. I have a channel that recreates hit songs using stock Logic Pro. And I found that using very limited sounds, you can create something that sounds very polished. So once again, use what you have. Having limitations actually breed creativity. Tip number 4, leave your ego at the door. Now what I mean by that is to drop your focus on yourself as the artist or this creator. And I like to think like I'm just a dude making stuff that people might enjoy. I have a set of skills, I have a set of tools, that's what I use to create my stuff. And that's it. There's no concept of like greatness or anything like that. There's just a concept of guy making stuff, like a sandwich that people enjoy. And if you have that mindset, I think a lot of pressure goes off and you're actually enjoying yourself creating the piece, which I think creates a better piece. I also think that the idea of crafting and the idea of sort of this art is such an ephemeral, high thing that we trick our brains into putting this pressure that we need to be something like that. And because of that pressure, you can feel dejected very quickly if you feel like your song's not working. But if you feel like I'm just in the process of making stuff people might connect with, the stakes feel very low. And I think you're having so much fun that you can just let your creativity flow. Tip number 5, drop your insecurities. Now this is tied to tip number 4 because it's tied to the ego. All of us as creators have our insecurities, and sometimes we have pressure thinking about what our peers might think, other music creators, and what judgments they might have upon us. And honestly, I think that's super counterproductive because it doesn't help you create something that has a purpose for other people. I know sometimes we go to the forums and we hang out there and we hear certain kinds of opinions and stuff and we get influenced, right? And we become insecure when we create our music. And I think if we can drop our ego and insecurities, what will help us is that we are in flow and we can be more creative because we're not limited by what we think other people might think about us. Tip number 6, focus on being generous. Focus on making your work in a way that creates value in people's lives, that is generous to them, that contributes something to their day. I think it is one of the most important things I do when I create my music. I think about how can I be generous today? How can I contribute to someone's day in a way that is meaningful with the skills and the tools that I have? And that way I feel good about myself and I feel like, okay, I'm going to create something for someone and I'm going to be as hardworking as I can to make that thing happen for someone. This is the tip I think that will help with the insecurity part and the ego part. Just be generous and say that I want to do you a service, I want to help you out because I feel like I enjoy this and I want you to enjoy it too. Tip number 7, focus on your strengths. We can't all be good at everything. Of course, there are geniuses out there that can write, sing, play, mix and master and do everything. But we're just us and don't let that discourage you. All we need to do is identify what strengths we have and try not to make the focus on strengths that we don't have. For example, if you're good at writing rap verses and you're not very good at making chords, then don't focus on making chords. Focus on making sure the writing is great and your song really highlights that kind of writing. You don't have to know very complex chords if you're not a chord kind of person. I used to work with a composer that doesn't really play many instruments well, but he can put together a song in a way that's super compelling, super nice. I've always admired that in that person. And if that person maybe tried to focus on, oh, I need more chords and I need more song structure this way, they might not make better songs that way. Tip number 8, there's no such thing as perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. We all know that there's no such thing as a perfect song, as much as there's no such thing as the perfect tree. Because trees just grow and in the shape that they grow. And I think songs just grow in the shape that they grow. And you can guide those songs. Of course, having the mindset of contribution, as we talked of before, means that we are crafting the song and we are shaping it to contribute the best thing that we can to people. But the idea of perfection is, I think, something that holds us back because there's no such thing. I think if we shift the idea of perfection into contribution and everything that we shape is moving the song towards contribution rather than perfection, then I think we will create better songs too. Tip number 9, technique matters, but it also doesn't matter. A lot of the songs I love are not very technical songs when it comes to songwriting or playing. And I don't think that we need to have a lot of songwriting technique or playing technique to be able to write compelling songs. Technique are tools to do the things that you want to do. So there are many different techniques of making songs. You can sample them, you can play them, you can get someone else to play them. There are many ways to create a song. I love technique and I love to learn new techniques. And I think we should have that mindset of wanting to learn new techniques. But learning new techniques mean learning techniques that are supportive of the kind of music that we want to create, not so much the kind of music that this person creates or the schools say you should do. Ultimately, a song can be made very simply or can be made very technical, and both can be just as compelling or one more compelling than the other. So focus on the techniques that work for you and don't focus on the techniques that you don't really need to focus on. In this video, I didn't mention anything about song structure or sounds because I'm not talking about the form of the song, I'm talking about the functions of a song. And the functions of the song to me are to create an emotional response in someone that contributes to their lives somehow. I also think that my perspective has an element of personal growth as well because it's about dropping your ego and your insecurities and understanding people and having empathy for other people and how they feel. I think all these qualities help you be a happier person, which means you can be a happier songwriter or creator or producer, and you can happily create the things that you want to create. I hope this video contributed something valuable to you and created an emotion that wants to create more songs. If you have any questions, please feel free to write below. I'd be happy to answer them. I hope you create great music. Have a great day. See ya.